figure out where to put that, because you know I'm going to move around. Start over here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You made it. We all made it. I want you to turn to your neighbors next to you, shake their hands, and say congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Marvelous. We made it.
Amen.
We made it through the longest night of the year.
It was long.
It was long. It was long last night. At 11:19 p.m. to be exact, was the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. And I have to offer for you this morning this blessing for the longest night by Jan Richardson from the book The Cure for Sorrow, a book of blessings for times of grief. All throughout these months, as the shadows have lengthened, this blessing has been gathering itself, making ready, preparing for this night. It is practice walking in the dark, traveling with its eyes closed, feeling its way by memory, by touch, by the pool of the moon even as it wanes. So believe me when I tell you this blessing will reach you, even if you have not light enough to read it. It will find you, even though you cannot see it coming. You will know the moment of its arriving by your release of the breath you have held so long, a loosening of the clenching in your hands, of the clutch around your heart, a thinning of the darkness that has drawn itself around you. This blessing does not mean to take the night away, but it knows its hidden roads, knows the resting spots along the path, knows what it means to travel in the company of a friend. So when this blessing comes, take its hand, get up, set out on the road you cannot see. This is the night when you can trust that any direction you go, you will be walking towards the dawn. Today we read of an angel, the Archangel Gabriel to be exact, appearing to Joseph to assure him that it is all right for him to wed Mary even though she is pregnant. But Gabriel immediately says, do not be afraid. In this case, it is do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife. We read of many instances of angels appearing to humans in the Bible. The most notable to Mary, mother of Jesus, at the announcement that she will bear a child, to Mary Magdalene at Jesus' tomb, and to the shepherds in the field on the night of Jesus' birth. Each time angels appear to humans, they immediately tell them, do not be afraid. I have to admit, I like the translations that interpret those words as fear not, instead of do not be afraid. Only because I am an admitted geek. I do not have a talent for remembering languages, but the one thing I remember from taking an entire semester of Greek in seminary was that the Greek letter equivalent to our I, that we pronounce iota, in Greek is pronounced Yoda. And the sentence structure for classic Greek places verbs before subjects. So imagine the angels in their best Yoda voice saying to the shepherds, oh, fear not, go to Bethlehem you must. So now you Star Wars and Disney Plus fans have another reason to giggle and smile. See, there's some brilliance in Hollywood after all. The blessing of the longest night and the Archangel Gabriel's reassurance to Joseph are messages to us that we have no reason to fear the dark, neither the physical dark of the night, in which there is always the promise of the coming dawn, nor the figurative dark of the unknown. You see, life is not a journey that begins at one point and ends at another point. Life is a labyrinth circling back and forth, always walking close to the center and then drifting back away from the center. But we are always, always walking toward the dawn, the center, toward God. Do not fear where your journey may take you, because you are always, always walking to your center, to God. Fear itself is a kind of darkness that tries to hide our light. But the light of Christ cannot be extinguished. Each of us is a part of Christ. Through him, all things were made. And because of that, we can be assured that there is no force in this world that can take away our essence. That essence is pure love. The true love that created all, and that true love can conquer all our fears. There are people in this world who choose to deny the love that created them, choose to deny the love that dwells in others, and choose to deny the love that dwells in themselves. These people live in a darkness of their own making, and they seek to darken the world and the lives of others. They do this by trying to instill fear in our hearts. They are the bullies of the world, the ones who intimidated us in grade school, making threats like, "I'll be looking for you on the playground after school, you expletive." They are the ones who grab and take our innocence and then growl, "You tell anyone what I did, and I will hurt you and your family." They are the ones who turn into corporate bosses, who make you fear losing your job so that you go to work sick, or that you miss out on being with your family because you're so afraid of losing that job. They are the ones who sink so low into their own fear that they teach a theology of fear. You need to go to church and obey all the rules that this church sets for you so that God will love you and not send you to hell. That sort of bad theology let generations of people stuck in such rigid structures that they learned to hate themselves if they felt anything even remotely different from what the fear-mongering leaders told them. I encountered plenty of such religious leaders in my lifetime. Everywhere. I recall going to a county fair when I was a young woman. I was a Sunday school teacher, a church lector, and a choir member. And there was this church that had a booth at the county fair, and they were passing out their literature. And they had this sign that said, "Where will you spend eternity? Look in the box." And in the box was a mirror, surrounded by yellow and orange flames. And the message was very clear: you better join our church or you're going to hell. So here we are, surrounded by such fear. Fear of bullies, fear of molesters, fear of bosses, fear of government, fear of churches, fear of God. We fear anyone and anything that we think holds power over us, but we forget that all the power lies with God. And God is not, I repeat, hear well, God is not some old man with a long white beard sitting on a cloud with a scorecard waiting to tick off every time we have screwed up. That's not God. God loves us. We are all a part of God. We are all a part of that pure love. We are pure love. And pure love conquers all fear. In fact, it is the only thing that can conquer fear. Fear can freeze you in your tracks, but the pure love of God will set you free. What if I told you that you are guaranteed that God will never, ever stop loving you? What if I told you that the evidence of that is right there at your fingertips? It's right there. God promised us after the great flood that he, she, it, her, them, however you choose to refer to God, I don't personally feel that God is a he, but that God would never destroy mankind in such a way again. Our ancestors screwed up left and right, but God's love for them lived on, so much so that God came down to earth to walk and live among us. And when we screwed that up and crucified Jesus, God resurrected him to show us that God's love never ends, to show us that there is nothing that we can screw up so badly that God cannot and will not turn it into something amazing and wonderful. So what do we do with that guarantee of God's love for us? We listen to the angels who sing out, "Fear not." We know that the love of God has for us will never cease, will never be depleted. So what love can we pour out to others? If we know that there is no person nor power on earth that can take away our very essence, what wonders can we build spreading that love to others? Fear not, say the angels. Fear not, God tells us. Even sometimes with those guarantees, it's hard. It's hard to let go of our fears. Sometimes the longest night stretches into the longest week, or the longest month, or the longest year. We compare ourselves to others, and we think, well, he or she has a lot more courage than I do. You know what courage is? Courage is fear that stood on its feet and stepped out in faith. Taking that step, trusting that God will always keep the promise of steadfast love, opens us up to wondrous adventures and experiences. I was visiting a patient this week who told me that she had a vision of two men standing at the foot of her bed. They smiled at her and then vanished. She said she wasn't afraid. She didn't have a sense of a threat from them, but she wondered what it meant. So she went down the street to a minister who lives in her park and asked him. And his immediate response was, well, how do you know they weren't evil? A response of fear. I asked her who she thought they might be. She said she thought it was her father and her late husband. And I asked her how she felt when she saw them, and she said she felt comforted. She felt peaceful. She knows her time is drawing close. And she said she thought maybe that they were offering her reassurance that all is well and all will be okay. See, her response of curiosity to that experience rather than fear, her faith in God, trust in God's love, means that at this crucial time in her waning life, she is at peace rather than in fear. Because of that, she found herself open to a spiritual experience that not very many people get to have. Fear keeps us from having spiritual experiences in our daily lives. It keeps us from meeting people, from getting to know people, from trying things, from claiming our own spiritual gifts, from getting involved. Fear leads us to make judgments about others before we even know their story. Fear gives us answers, where love gives us curiosity. Fear tells us that ours is the only true religion, and that not only are all others wrong, but if we accept people of different faiths, then we will displease God, and God will send us to hell. Fear tells us that we cannot question what we have been taught or the traditions we follow, because God will be displeased and God will send us to hell. Fear makes us close our hearts, our ears, and our eyes to people who challenge what we believe or say about Jesus. But pure love from God, on the other hand, gives us curiosity to listen, explore challenges, and choose a loving response to those challenges. Last night was the winter solstice, the longest day of the year. There are and were pagan rituals at the time of the winter solstice, the Yule celebration. And many of the observations we have this time of year, Christmas time, when we observe the birth of Christ, can be traced to those rituals. Luke tells us there were shepherds abiding in the fields. Well, you know what? It's cold and it's rainy in Israel during December. So are we sure it was December? And if we go by John the Baptist's birth, which was around mid-March, and Luke tells us that Mary conceived in the 6th month of Elizabeth, John the Baptist's mother, her pregnancy, that would mean that Jesus would have been born around my birthday in September. There are Christians who have come up in such fear of those challenges that they close their ears, they close their eyes, and they dig in their feet and say that their faith is being threatened. I say, you know what, it doesn't matter to me. I like Christmas. I like Christmas trees. I like Christmas lights. I like Yule logs on the fire and exchanging presents. I like celebrating God's gift to the world with candles and carols. And I'm not fearful over whether I've got the date right or not. Because I don't think Jesus cares whether I'm early or late to his birthday party. My faith is not threatened by the search for the historical Jesus. If there were proof beyond reason that Mary was not a virgin when she gave birth to Jesus, or even that Jesus was not physically raised from the dead, it would not change my faith, it would not change my belief in God, and it would not change my desire to follow Christ. For God is true love, and Jesus' teachings are truth. And that truth has set us free from the darkness of fear. Some days, even for me, the sun shines brighter than on other days. Sometimes I am all but consumed by the notion that someone or something else in this world holds power over me and can harm me, can change God's opinion of me. Sometimes I get angry and frustrated. I'm human. Every once in a while, I let my fearful imagination get the better of me. But you know, those times are more fleeting. The older I grow, and the more stronger I grow in my belief of God's love for me and for all of us. And there's two reasons, especially. First and foremost, because I know that God is pure love. And I know that there is nothing in this world that can separate me or you or any of us from that pure love. And the other is that on one of my own darkest, longest nights, someone who had a lot of excellent years in a 12-step program said to a very fearful me, you know, Laura, I've seen a lot of terrible things in my life. One or two of them actually happened. It was a reminder that we have everything we need to take our fear, to stand on our feet, and to step out in faith. I didn't take those first few steps alone. In fact, I've never taken any steps alone. Neither do you. Someone has always been there to hold our hand, and there's always been an angel nearby whispering, "Fear not, for your God is with you." Congratulations, my friends. We have made it through the longest night of the year. Fear not, for the dawn has come, and the light of the world still shines. Amen.
Amen.
Collection. The collector people. My friends, it should should never hurt to give to your church what you can give. So I ask that you give to your church, your God, of your time, your talent, and your treasure until you feel the joy.
So, Scott, thank you so much for all of your help with this. I stumbled this week across this story of the bear and the hare. If you all haven't seen it. And to me, animals are my daily reminder of love, so it just seemed appropriate to share that with you all this Sunday. You know, that just a deep agape love, to see these animals share the love that they have with each other. It really melted my heart, so I hope you all enjoy it. And the song that was the track to this video, on a personal note, really reigns true to me. I'm not gonna cry. Though I've been making a point to cry probably at least once or twice a week on the regular. So this video came out in 2013. It was also the year that I married my beautiful wife. That was also the song that we walked down the aisle to. And yesterday we were together 9 years. And thank you. And it seems more appropriate than ever with today's reading to let you all know that on Wednesday marks 14 weeks that my wife will be with child. So, which we really couldn't have done without the help of all of you and having the fundraiser here, and just thank you all so much for your love and prayer and supports. All right, Scott, I think we're ready. Walked across an empty land. I knew the pathway like the back of my hand. I felt the earth beneath my feet. Sat by the river and it made me complete. Oh, simple thing, where have you gone? I'm getting tired and I need someone to rely on. I came across a fallen tree. I felt the branches of it looking at me. Is this the place we used to love? Is this the place that I've been dreaming of? Oh, simple thing, where have you gone? I'm getting tired and I need someone to rely on. And if you have a minute, why don't we go talk about it somewhere only we know? This could be the end of everything.